They felt the wind before they saw the faces, rotor wash rolling across Windsor stone, ruffling hats and nerves, turning a historic minute into something that crackled. The door swung open on Marine One and the choreography snapped into place. The Prince and Princess of Wales first to the threshold, first to the handshake, first to make the moment look inevitable. William carried that easy, unhurried authority that comes from 1,000 practiced greetings. Catherine matched his cadence, shoulders square, smile measured, eyes steady. The president's hand found William's with a friendly slap to the arm. "Hello my friend. How are ya?" Then pivoted to the Princess of Wales with a line built to ricochet through the day. "You're beautiful, so beautiful." She took it as she takes everything now, with poise that absorbs attention and gives it back to the room. Timing is tact. She didn't let the compliment linger. The introductions played like chamber music. "It's a pleasure to see you," said the First Lady, turning with the same courtesy to Catherine. "How are you?" And the four started their short walk across the grass. William's palm rested lightly on Catherine's back, the barely there pressure that ushers guests forward while telling cameras, "We're moving now." A stiff breeze whipped the lawns, hats tilted, the small talk did its quiet work. The president asked after the children, George, Charlotte, Louis, 3 names that explain more about the future of the crown than any policy brief. "They're well, and at school," William answered. "The new term started a couple of weeks ago." A nod. A beat. "We're blown away," the president said. "It's been a while since you chatted with me." The heir glanced sideways with a half-smile he saves for moments like this. To Catherine, just loud enough to read on a lip, he quipped, "He has missed our little chats." A soft line that released the tension without breaking the frame. "We can talk now you're here on a visit," he added, and the meaning landed. "We talk in person now." The first photographs captured the silhouette the palace wanted. 2 hosts, 2 guests, measured warmth under a sky that couldn't decide between pomp and rain. Catherine's look did its own speaking, a deep red Amelia Wickstead line that read as ceremony without shouting, a Jane Taylor hat slicing the light, a brooch with private gravity once worn by Diana. Nothing about the color was accidental, it anchored the images, pulled the eye where it should go, made the compliments background noise against composure. Across the way, the First Lady's black dress and plum hat sketched a calm counterpoint. Queen Camilla would echo the palette later in blue on blue. State visits are a grammar of tones long before they are a set of sentences. They reached the King and Queen at the entrance, where Windsor's stone can make any greeting look like a painting. William turned the headline into a sentence. "This is my father." The words were simple, and that was the point: family first, job second. The guard of honor held the line, music poured into the cold air, flags cracked like punctuation. A brief shower needled the forecourt and a tent materialized as if the castle keeps one folded inside the weather. Then the inspection. The king, smiling and unbothered, let the guest walk a step ahead, an old courtesy read by new cameras as easy confidence. The band found the American anthem, the brass took the edge off the wind, protocol and pageantry braided themselves into a single rope and pulled the day forward. There are images you plan and images you earn. The procession earned its own. 3 carriages rattling like a memory along the route, the king with the president in the first, the queen with the First Lady in the second, the Prince and Princess of Wales in the third. Hooves found their tempo, white plumes made their own weather, the crowd caught its breath and then remembered how to cheer. The king's troop marked the arrival with a thunder that rattled windows, 41 guns, First World War steel answering 21st century politics, a sound as old as the bond being toasted. If you watched the princess between volleys, you saw a face that never loses track of where the camera is and never lets the camera choose the story. Windsor compresses drama into ceremony. It's what the castle does better than any building on the island. What looks like spectacle is logistics tuned to the millimeter. The inspection line became a corridor. The corridor became rooms where small talk accomplishes large work. Staff read lips and weather and mood from 20 paces and trim schedules by seconds you don't see. Somewhere a speechwriter was still moving a stubborn comma. Somewhere a sommelier was running a fingertip down a line of vintages, mapping pairings no one will remember and an aftertaste everyone will. What you could see, the thing the palace wanted you to see, is that the future of the institution now greets the present of the world, first at the helicopter door and again on the palace steps, so the sovereign can receive the day that's already been made to behave. You could also hear the visit talking to its own past. 5 summers ago, a queen toasted in a ballroom 5 miles east. Tonight a king will do it under shields and oaken vaults. The voice has changed, the song has not. Friendship that outlasted 2 world wars, a language divided by an ocean and bound by taste and habit, new nouns, tech, security, deterrence, stitched to old promises. The banquet is not a dinner, it is a treaty written in crystal and French nouns, an orchestra of service timed to land halibut at the moment it is closest to perfect and applause at the moment it feels most deserved. It is the place where a country convinces itself that history is a renewable resource. Between the overture and the score, the day set out its softer power. The First Lady's program runs through Windsor's private wonders, Queen Mary's doll's house, a miniature kingdom that reminds adults how exacting imagination can be, the Royal Library, where the air smells like paper and centuries, and a garden walk that will become tomorrow's photograph. 2 women under trees at Frogmore, joining the chief scout and a crew of squirrels, 4- and 5-year-olds with mud on their knees, earning a Go Wild badge while the cameras learn to tell a different story. Catherine's portfolio has been a long campaign for early years, for small hands and big futures. The picture writes itself because the work behind it is real. In the breeze on the lawns, the conversation kept finding personal ground. The guest spoke of Scottish roots and a mother who watched a coronation on a small screen in a small room and fell a little in love with a country she kept in her voice forever. He has been generous in public about the king's steadiness, at times even elegiac. The king, in his turn, wrote when bullets came too close and man survived by inches. These are the private exchanges that make public days feel less like theatre and more like memory. There was even room for a riff. "It's been a while since you chatted with me," the president said as they walked, and William, never one to waste an opening, turned slightly toward Catherine with the line the microphone's caught because it wanted to be caught. "He has missed our little chats." It was wry, and it did what it needed to do, reset the tone toward ease, establish that the air can do banter without burning the frame, and remind the audience that the House of Windsor knows how to be human on camera when it chooses. Everything else unfolded with the inevitability this house tries to guarantee. A brief, private visit to St. George's Chapel to lay a wreath on the late Queen's tomb and let a choir's voices sand down the day's edges. Rooms that swallow drama and exhale order. A schedule that keeps time even when the weather doesn't. And somewhere in the margins, a second narrative threading through the first, an heir and his wife now so frequently the opening measure of state hospitality that the pattern no longer needs naming. Hosting, for them, is not a courtesy call. It is apprenticeship. If you're looking for the picture that will lead the bulletins, it is the simplest. 4 at the threshold, smiles calibrated to welcome without surrender, hands meeting exactly where the frame wants them. That is the monarchy's native tongue. It doesn't argue. It composes. It trusts that hitting the right notes in public gives the private music room to play. By nightfall the silver will be aligned to an invisible geometry and the speeches will try warmly, carefully, to say everything without saying anything that can't survive tomorrow. By morning the motorcade will chase its own weather down to checkers. But the minute that mattered most was the one on the grass, when a joke about little chats turned a high-voltage welcome into something that felt almost domestic. That is how you make a difficult visit look easy. You let the wind take the nerves, and then you walk.